Good evening. Welcome here. Hope you're having a good day so far. We're going to be practicing a Hatha class today, and our theme is going to be nonviolence, or it's also known as Ahimsa. So I'm just going to do a little bit of informing you of what that is. So the etymology of this word is it's derived from Sanskrit, the root hims, meaning to strike, and himsa, meaning injury or harm. And so ahimsa, the prefix means opposite. So when we add that, we make it non-harming or non-violence. Now in the yoga practice, non-violence is a very common thread that's woven through yoga and Buddhism and mindfulness. So I welcome you to kind of interpret it in your own way, but also do a little bit of research after if it interests you. But in the practice of yoga, how can non-violence, or the practice of not returning harm to your body, how can that exist in this 60 minutes for the next little bit for you? And the next thing I've written down is, can you look at the quality of your thoughts during today's practice? And we can actually harm ourselves with our own thoughts and our self-judgments. To practice ahimsa in your thoughts it is helpful to have a breathing practice and to have kind of a body movement practice. So that's what we'll explore tonight, is that joining together of our body, our movements, and hopefully being really, really kind to how we move our bodies. So let's start laying down on the back. You can start in Shavasana. So you be all the way down, legs wide as you want, arms wide as you want. Let the shoulders relax into the yoga mat beneath you, and the head as well. There's a sensation of kind of heaviness in the whole body through the back area of the body. Can you awaken a sense of lightness into the whole front of your body? Take an inhale. And take an exhale. First thing we're going to do is draw the right leg into the chest. You're going to grab on top of the shin or behind the hamstring, and then just go ahead and hug that knee in towards your heart or your armpit. And we're going to feel the hip muscles kind of stretch open a little bit in the groin on the outer hip. We're kind of just doing this posture as a little bit of a warm up for the legs, getting some movement into the hip flexors. Let's pretend like we're standing on our left leg. So just kind of engage through the left foot, press out through the sole of the foot. Take one more breath in through the nose. And take one more breath out through the nose. All right, you're going to hold the same leg in and just press it up to the ceiling so it stretches out on the back of the leg. Hamstring for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's release that leg. Put the foot back on the floor. Let's hug the left leg in. Grab behind the hamstring or on top of the shin. Extend your right foot and leg out beneath you, and then hug the left knee in towards your heart. Let's take 4 breaths in and out through the nose before we kick our leg up. So when you feel ready to go ahead and kick that leg up to the ceiling, you can try that. Just remember, the intention of class tonight is that non-violence. So when we approach the movement, we do it in a way that is relaxed in the body and without expectation in the mind, if that's possible. It's tough because we've probably done poses before, so there's sometimes expectation. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Let's release that leg. We're then going to hold both knees into the chest, lift them up, and just give them a soft hug for a second before we twist our legs over to the right-hand side. So knees and legs over to the right, arms open up. You can cactus the arms or have the hands on the heart and stomach. And let's just take 2 breaths in and out through the nostrils in this supine twist, this laying down twist. So inhale. And exhale, fully out the nose. You can even look to the left. And do that one more time. A full breath in, filling up belly, ribs, chest, expansive. And exhale, looking maybe a little bit more over to the left. Now take your knees and gaze back up to the ceiling and swap sides. It's pretty simple, just going over to the left side with the legs and the knees. And then the arms can open up into the twist or stay on the heart and chest. In the twist, we want to feel some stretchy sensations that goes into the core area of the body. But we can get more specific than that. It's kind of like a diagonal stretchiness in the core. And how different people do this pose is awesome because we always want to do it respectfully to our body. So if knees into the chest far like this isn't working for you, you can let the knees move away from your body and do the twist with the whole positioning of the knees generally lower down. Let's go ahead and lift our knees back up towards the ceiling, lift our gaze back up as well. Awesome. I'm going to get you to hug both legs into the chest, and we're just going to rock and roll up into seated position. We're going to flip over onto our hands and knees. We're going to go through a few rounds of cat-cow with our breathing, moving with breathing with cat-cow. So we're on hands and knees. We're going to root down through the palms. Inhale, looking forwards and opening up through the chest, the heart, the stomach. And then exhaling and rounding the spine back up to the ceiling, and even kind of gripping the fingertips into the floor a little bit, thumbs in each fingertip. And that way the forearm muscles remain nice and active. P.S. Welcome, Colleen, to class. Woo, good to have you here. Let's do a few more rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling and exhaling, moving that wonderful spine of yours. Sometimes I have to be kind of careful making sure that I'm practicing in non-violence into when I look forwards, actually, because if I go too stretchy forwards and open up a lot, the sensation becomes pretty intense in the stomach. And we just want to be, mindful of how intense we make those sensations. Try like 1 or 2 more cat-cows. And then I'm going to get you to go up into downward facing dog. So palms are still at the front of the mat. Hips are up in the air, and Matt's taking his socks off. You made it for the ceremonial removal of the socks, Colleen. It's perfect. It's a winter thing. Palms plant down. Hips lift up, strong through each finger. Awesome job. Try to be present and conscious with your breathing in and out through the nostrils as you kind of balance the weight between the hands and feet, essentially. And there's a bit of core engagement too. The abdomen is squeezing and almost helping to lift the pelvis upwards to the ceiling a little bit because of that core engagement and hip flexor engagement. We're going to find lift. Let's kind of walk up to the top of the mat and come up into standing position. And once you're up and standing, you're going to eventually rise all the way up into just a general relaxed position. Feet come comfortably apart. And we're going to welcome Carol G to class. Woo, welcome, Carol. It's good to have you here. So arms lift up, level to the floor. Squat down and back with the hips. We're going into powerful pose. So the leg muscles are being used in powerful pose. That's probably why it's a good name for it, because these muscles in our legs, powerful muscles, they're really big and they're able to do a lot of work in our body when we squat and when we're walking and running around. So we're going to sit down and back with the hips. And how much your hips move back is dependent for you, which is what I love about yoga. It's such a personal practice. It's like this fine-tailored like article of clothing, a dress or suit that fits perfectly for your body. You can just really make that work. So if your hips need to come straight down when you squat, that's okay. If they need to come back and down, that's okay. If your spine needs to lean forwards or stay tall, okay. It's all fine. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths in and really drive home that kind of practice of ahimsa or non-violence. So we're practicing in a way that is calm and respectful for our physical body. Let's rise all the way up. We're going to come into awkward pose. So lifting up onto the fronts of the feet. So we're roughly here. And once the heels have lifted up any amount, we're going to squat the knees forwards and the bum down. I'm just going to repeat the last posture again, really to practice ahimsa in my body, because my toes still, like, they're okay, but they're still not loving it. So I'm just going to really respect the fact that my toes don't like to lift up too much like that right now in my life, in this point in time, and just squat like this again. If you want to lift those heels, you do it. And we're going for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's rise up, root the feet, lift up through the spine, then relax your arms down. Nice job. Let's reach up with the arms. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Look up above your head. And exhale, swing the right arm underneath the left arm and give yourself a bear hug. Now squeeze the elbows together like they're the jaws squeezing. And then squat the bum down and lift your right leg over the left leg. And we're going to put our big toe down on the floor. So we have the stability of both feet anchoring. Or you can use a hard block and put the toe on top of a block. The foot would be hovered up a little bit in the air in that case. And let's try to find that calm breathing. I think that's the biggest teacher for me in yoga that I've ever had, is the breathing, how it shifts and ebbs and flows and changes from pose to pose. And also just the ability to try to stay present with that breath as it's changing and ebbing and flowing. So it's such a good present practice, like a good mindfulness present moment practice in this hour for yoga. Let's take one more breath in. Exhale, plant the foot down. Reach your arms up, breathe in. Take the left under the right. Clamp your little elbow jaws together. Squat down and back and lift your left leg over the right leg. So there's all sorts of amazing benefits about yoga that we might not initially feel. Did you know that your eyesight gets better when you do yoga? That's pretty cool. There's actually been a few studies that have been done that kind of have looked at people's eyesight that practice yoga, and usually they'll kind of take their glasses off or their contacts out maybe when they're in the practice. And it gives the ocular muscles, the eye muscles, a chance to kind of flex, and move and work, balance, look around, and it actually can improve people's prescription. And my partner is a proof of that, actually. Her prescription went, I don't know if it's down or up, whatever it is. I don't have glasses, but it got better. One more breath in. Story time's over. So is eagle. Step your foot down. Reach your arms up. Breathe in. Hands to your heart center. Breathe out. Awesome. We're going to have those feet right together now so the big toes can touch. The palms are going to stay pressing together. We're going to squat down with the hips and bum. And I want you to keep pressing those hands. Can you feel how like the chest and abdomen, pectorals, this whole front area becomes more active when we have that hand squeeze? Try to maintain that hand squeeze, palm to palm, even fingertips waking up forearms. And then we're going to rotate the spine right side down, left side up. And we'll try a little hover twist today, just to see if we can, do this nice and safely. We might not go down really low with the elbow. We're just kind of hovering the body in a twist, a rotation, palms pressing, abdomen engaging. Other option, right palm to thigh, left palm to hip. Continue to rotate the spine, just using the right palm as a support structure. Let's take one more inhale. And exhale back to the center. We're going to stay in the squat. We're just going to rotate the opposite way. So either in that hovered squat. So elbow is not touching, neither is palm. We're pressing the palms together and we're engaging the abdomen and lengthening the spine into the rotation that we have. Or palm on thigh, palm on hip. There would be left palm on the thighs and right palm on the hip as we rotate the spine, left side down, right side up. One more breath in. And a breath out. Coming back to center. Reach and rise all the way up. Breathe in. And we're going to dive down to the top of the yoga mat with our breath out. So diving all the way down, bending knees. I want you to step back to downward facing dog. Hips are up in the air. Keep rooting down through both of your palms. And really keep that kind of side abdomen engagement as you push down. You can kind of hug in with the hands, almost like you're pulling to the center and palms together. We're going to do a flow, and then we're going to move into some warrior stuff. So inhale forwards to high plank. It's like top of push-up. Exhale, lower down the knees, then lower down the chest and the belly all the way. Lift your heart, baby cobra. Inhale, anchor your feet down, press. Exhale, lower the heart, push your palms down, and lift back to downward facing dog, hips up in the air. Again, let's do another flow. High plank, inhale. Exhale, knees, chest, and belly down. Baby cobra, lifting your heart up on your inhalation. Exhale, lower the heart, push your palms down to lift up onto hands and knees. Shift your hips back and lift your hips up into the air, please. So you're back into downward facing dog. Take your left leg up, breathe in. Exhale, draw your left knee to your nose, then step through with that left foot. And we're going to rise up to runner's lunge. So lift the chest and swing the arms back so that they're kind of next to the hips or so. We're squeezing bum and thigh to give support to back, hugging feet in to find buoyancy, and then just respecting the breathing. Come back to that breathing. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. Another one in. And out. Now on the front foot, I want you to try to find the big toe, pinky toe, and the heel, and try to equalize the pressure on all of those points. It's tough. Take a breath in and reach up, stretch the heart and chest open. Exhale, dive your hands down to the floor. We're going to step back to downward facing dog. So left foot steps back to down dog. Nice. Let's kick the right leg up. Breathe in. Exhale, draw the knee to the nose. Then step through with your right foot. Rise up. And then eventually swing those arms back next to the hips and kind of flare open the palms a little bit. Press down through the feet. So I'm going to shorten up my stance just a little bit. You might choose to do the same just to see what expectations you may have had of the posture. You know, sometimes I go long thinking it's going to feel better or feel more, but shortening it up has its benefits as well because it uses a different area of muscles. So trying something different, it's okay. Taking breath in and breath out. One more breath in, reach the arms up. Breath out, dive the hands down to frame your front foot and step back to down dog again. So your hips are up in the air, feet are at the back of the yoga mat. Let's kick the left leg up, breathe in. Exhale, draw the knee to the nose, step through with the left foot. Now we're going to pivot the back heel to the floor. So it kind of rotates down to the ground, pinky edge seals off to the floor, press back. And then rise up, front arm points forwards, windmilling up to warrior two. Arms leveling off to the floor, lunging forwards, knee over ankle. Keep pressing down in buoyancy. Down with the feet, buoyancy lifting up from underneath the groin. And then close the eyes if you can. I really like to close my eyes every once in a while. Warrior is a good one for that. We're going to pivot our palms facing sideways. Move the left arm down, the right arm up, press the hand and thigh together, and reaching fingers to ceiling. Now let's try something a little different with this hand. We can bring this right hand back behind the low back, palm faces away from our body. And we're just going to pause there as we roll the shoulder open and feel that stretch across the chest on the top side there. Push down into the left heel and feel your hamstring engage. Let's rise back up to warrior two, leveling off those lovely arms to the floor, looking over the fingers, left fingers. Take a breath in. Windmill your hands down to the floor, so the right arm lifts over the head, and then both hands windmill down to frame the front foot. Then you're going to step back to plank. Take a breath in. Exhale, knees, chest, belly, lower down. Baby Cobra, inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale, lower the heart, push down to lift your chest and go back to downward facing dog. Pushing palms down. Lift your right leg up, breathe in as you lift up through the right foot and leg. Exhale, draw the knee to the nose, step through with your right foot. Rise up and pivot back to warrior two. So your left foot is rooted back to the floor through the back pinky edge of the foot. Your right leg is lunging forward, so the knee is roughly over the ankle. And both of those keisters, both those bum muscles are engaging and squeezing to help support this posture. If we're lazy in the glutes, we kind of get unsupported in the hips and in the back. When we're engaging in the glutes, we essentially support the framework of the posture, which is really important. How does the pose feel? Who cares what it looks like? If you have a mirror or any reflection, close the eyes and just feel the pose. Let's pivot our palms to face sideways. Move the right arm down, left arm up. Optional, left hand behind low back. Become connected with your breathing through the present mind. So you're focused with the mind on the active breathing, taking an inhale, taking an exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Come back up on inhale, warrior two. Windmill both hands to the floor, exhale. Step back to plank position, please. You're in top of a push-up, essentially, in plank. Now take a full breath in and lower your knees at the same time. And as you exhale, lower the rest of your body all the way down to the ground. Now you're going to do baby cobra, lift your heart up and anchor the feet. Exhale, lower your heart down. Press down with both fingertips and palms and lift back up to tabletop. We'll pause in tabletop, please. Back to hands and knees. And let's experience a few more rounds of cat-cow, just like we did from the start of our class. Okay, so inhaling and lifting the heart, pressing the palms down forwards, lifting the throat. Exhale, rounding the spine, now looking between the knees or so. Inhale forwards again, opening up through the chest and belly and stomach, and even the back of the bum a little. And exhale, rounding the spine up, tucking the tailbone underneath of you, and even feeling the stretch in that region, kind of in the back body down towards the hips. Let's come back forwards into a neutral feeling spine and make our way up into standing. You can go to down dog and stand up, or you can just stand up. So once you're up at the top of your mat, or up and standing, I want you to walk up to the top of your mat. And I want you to then step back with your right foot so that both feet are anchored to the ground. You can see how my back foot's at an angle forwards slightly. So it's not straight back like this. The foot is angled. Now I'm going to hold my hands into my hips, and then I'm basically going to pour my hips forwards as if I was holding a bowl. And as I tilt forwards through the hips, I want to just look for a stretch in the hamstrings. So I don't know if my hamstrings are just really like short muscles, so they feel stretched right away. But when I tilt about this far, I already start to feel a pretty decent stretch that travels up the back of my front leg. Now, if I go a little further and become more active in my legs, I can start to feel the stretch existing in both legs. The key thing is we're tilting at the pelvis and the legs are staying straight. And we could keep going and we could tilt at the spine and we can keep our legs straight and bring the fingers to the floor. I actually don't need to go that far, so I'm not going to. I might go down to shin, and that's good enough. Now let's lift our spine back up. And let's try this posture on the opposite side, but we're going to just pivot to change sides, okay? So we're not going to step anywhere. We just turn like this. Now one foot's facing forwards, another foot is facing on angle. We're going to hold the hands to the hips. We're going to tilt forwards at the hips and feel that stretch travel up the back of each leg. It starts, I don't know for you, but for me, it starts primarily in the front leg. And then as I become more involved in the posture and present with it, I can kind of move the stretch around by becoming a bit more engaged and rooted through the feet as tilting forwards, and spinal rounding can happen too. So you don't have to keep the spine perfectly straight the whole time. It might feel nice to round the spine down to the knee or something like that. And let's lift our spine back up. And we're going to just lift all the way and turn to face sideways. Heel to the feet together. And the next posture we'll move through is toppling tree. So we're going to have our hands in our hips, and we're just going to take our right leg back behind us. Whatever way you want to face, doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to stay this way. And you reach the arms back behind you as well. And the same muscles that are keeping the leg extended are kind of like the same muscles that keep the arms extended. Their role is functionally the same, to extend the limb. This is triceps, they reach forwards, and quadriceps, they reach back. So that's what's extending and reaching through the limbs. So basically we want to keep quadricep active, tricep active, and we're going to be feeling a stretch in bicep and in hamstring. So just do your best to kind of stay aware of those regions that we're focusing on. And for me, it usually keeps me from moving too deep into the posture because I'm more aware of the area that I'm trying to target, rather than trying to get this huge expression out of the posture every single time. Let's just take maybe one more breath in and out the nose, holding that leg back, holding the arms back. And then we're gonna just kind of swing it back forwards until the foot comes to the floor. And now the left leg is gonna tilt back, and we're gonna hold it back and the arms back as well. If you're a little tuckered out with the arms, bring them to the hips. I like hands on side abdomen a little bit right here, kind of hips / abs. This is a really great reminder for me to keep a bit engaged in the core so I don't slump forwards. So what I mean by that is if I showed you this perspective, spine slumping forwards is like this, not engaging in the side abdomen, squishy core, lengthening, becoming more engaged in the erector spinal muscles, the back QL muscles, but also a bit in these abdominal muscles that are involved with supporting the trunk extension, essentially. Core muscles do trunk flexion, or hip flexion, they bring your chest closer to your legs, but in this instant, they're isometrically holding your body in the extension. Let's hold for 2 more breaths. And 1 more breath in and out. And let's come back up to standing. Our standing sequence will just be a little bit longer than usual today, and we're going to do a few more postures before we come down for resting. Okay, so let's lift our left knee up, the right knee up in front of the hip. All right, so we're going to lift up like so. We're going to grab the knee with the palm, and we're going to open the leg to the side. Then we're going to reach our left arm to the left, and we're going to look over the left fingers, but then really push down into the floor. Press down with that posted foot and become alive underneath the foot, like tree roots becoming kind of bound to the earth. Become tall into the sky, like tree branches lifting up into the sunlight. Draw back to center, inhale. Exhale, lower that foot down to the floor, relax. Let's lift the left knee up so it's in front of the hip. So lift it up. Grab the knee with the palm. Reach your right arm to the right and the left leg to the left. I don't know, do you have 2 eggs with you too? Do you practice with hard-boiled eggs alongside? You need a snack every once in a while. You just pop it in and you're good to go. You got your left egg out there. Push down into the right egg and lift up into the crown of the head. You gotta be silly every once in a while. Even if there's nobody to laugh with me. Well, you're here to laugh with me. What am I talking about? Let's take 1 more breath in. Breath out. You might look over to the right-hand side. Draw back to center and return the foot to the floor. Nice job. Let's kick our right leg back behind us, kind of like toppling tree to start. It's actually the same thing as toppling tree to start. Let's hold it back like that. And then we're going to just curl the hamstring so the heel moves to the bum. So go for it, curl that hamstring, heel to bum, grab hold of the foot, and then reach up and kick back at the same time. If you can't grab the foot, I want you to go back to toppling tree like this. And remember to exercise non-violence to your body. That's the whole intention of the class. And that can be non-expectation. So if you've always thought in the past that to do dancer's pose, you got to grab your foot, we're going to reinvent dancer's pose for you today. We might do dancer's pose like this, hand and foot hovering, reaching up. This is fantastic. You're acing dancer's pose for 3, 2, 1. Coming back up. Let's try it on the opposite side. I'll join you with that non-grabbed version of dancer's pose. So our left foot goes back like toppling tree. Then we're going to do a hamstring curl and bring our heel as close to the butt as we can get it on its own. And then we might just hold there without grabbing on, or go ahead, grab onto that leg. The bum muscle is keeping that leg back behind you. If it can't do that, dancer's pose will kind of look more like this. We want that leg active so we can take it back behind. The bum is working to draw the knee behind the body. That's basically its job. Let's do 1 more breath in. And a breath out, come back up to standing. So feel free to grab a sip of water or some tea and go ahead and lay down onto your back for Midway Shavasana, or slightly past Midway Shavasana. So earlier in the class, I mentioned that the core muscles are like trunk flexors or hip flexors. Like they will draw the torso closer to the legs. They also, the core muscles will draw, they can do it like this too. They can draw the legs closer to the torso. This is abdomen engagement, but also the actual hip flexor of psoas. Now, the opposite side of the body, that's the extension part. This is flexion. This is extension, moving back, flexion and extension. A lot of people really lack hip extension. And when they talk to their physiotherapist, most physios will tell them like, oh, you have like 5 degrees of hip extension, when you want to maybe have a little bit more than that, so that when you walk, you don't walk like a stiff board, you know? And so that's one of the reasons these poses are so good for the body, because when done mindfully and in practice of non-harm or ahimsa, the poses can really pave the way to your range of motion, like really show you, oh, this is where your range of motion can be. It's really awesome. So let's relax in Shavasana for a little bit, and then we'll go into the next pose in a moment. So taking the yoga intention into your emotional or mental life, or your family life, or your relationship life. How does nonviolence show itself to you tonight? Or rather, how do you show nonviolence, non-harm to everybody in your life that you come in contact with for the rest of the night? Is there something that you could say or something that you could do or a self-practice awareness type of thing that you could have in the moments with the person that you love so much that still has challenging moments, right? We know what that's like. If you can remember in the challenging moment that comes next, to come back to your breath, just like you did in the challenging moment of whatever pose it was, that's a win. We're going to move into thread the needle next. It's a hip stretch. So let's bend both of our knees so our feet are kind of grounded. Then we're going to stack the right ankle over the left thigh. And I'm going to encourage you, if you want to draw the leg into the chest and hold on there. Or you can try thread the needle with a twist with me tonight. So the twist is a literal twist. So we're going to walk our hips to the right. It's really subtle. You might have to watch the video to see what I mean by that. We walk our hips to the right over there. Then we let the knees fall over to the left over here. We're going to feel a stretch moving across the abdomen. And we can look over to the right-hand side also. This is a nice stretch for me because it goes into the outer hip also. So it's like abdominals and hip. It's just kind of a nice combination of sensations. And let's lift our knees back up, gaze back up to the ceiling. So you're out of the twisted shape, uncrossing the legs and recrossing on the opposite side. So now the left ankle is over the right. And you could go ahead and draw the leg into the chest, hold behind the hamstring for classic thread the needle, or join me for this twisted version. We're going to walk the hips to the left, and then the knees and the foot with it go to the right. It's kind of like the whole leg stays as a package that's put together, and then it moves over to the right-hand side. You can start to look up or left over the left shoulder. See if you can get something nice moving into the neck and the upper spinal area as far as stretching goes. Start to lift your head back up, facing the ceiling, and lift the crossed legs back up as well, just up to a neutral position. Uncross those legs, walk the feet in closer to your bum. I'm going to lift up through the hips for bridge pose. So hips are rising up, and we're going to use the bum muscles to produce an open sensation on the front of the hips. Now, this goes hand in hand with what I was just explaining before we laid down, that the bum muscles are responsible for doing hip extension. What are we doing right now? We're extending the hips up to the ceiling. What's active? Our bum muscle is. So we get active into the bum, and our hips do this magical lift. Well, it's not magic. It's obvious. It's lifting up in the air because of that engagement in the bum. And we're just going to keep rising and rooting and feeling a stretch on the hip flexors and in the stomach region. Let's take a breath in, expanding the belly up. And a breath out, relaxing the belly down, but keeping the hips still lifted, even though the belly is relaxing with the breath out. A few more breaths in and out like that. Anchor the backs of the shoulders, elbows down, palms plant down if you want to. And let's float our spine all the way down to the floor. Then we're going to lift our knees up in the air, and then both feet up in the air, and then the arms up in the air. And we're going to do this pose called dead bug. So we're just going to kind of hang out there. The shoulders relax down, and the arms feel like they could almost just be turned off. The wrists get relaxed. Now for me, this is a hard leg position. It's hard to get my legs to feel relaxed here. I'm just doing my best. So I got to bend my knees a lot, and then try to get that weight to come down through the back of the hips. Now we can dangle the heels. Let's try dangling the heels so that the hip flexors can relax a little bit more. Take another breath in the nose, filling up all the way. And a breath out, relaxing all the way. Awesome job, folks. Let's place the feet back down on the ground. Relax the hands down on the ground also. And the next thing we're going to go do is flip over onto the stomach. So we're just going to roll on over so that we end up right on the belly. I'm going to put the palms underneath of our chest and shoulders and kind of draw the big toes together. The big toes will touch. We're going to link together a few postures here. So rising forwards and up with the heart, baby cobra, lifting. Let's just take 3 breaths in each posture of these spinal strengthening poses here. Take a breath in and out. 2 more. I can feel my belly moving a little bit when I'm breathing it into the floor like that. And then let's start to lift up the legs, extend them back, reach the arms back also, and you're floating just in this position for 3 more breaths. Inhale. And out. Inhale again. Last breath in and out. Kick your heels to your bum. Grab hold of the feet and press back with those feet. Lift up through the chest. And we'll get hip extension happening here too, especially if we can get our bum to be active. So if we don't have an active bum, our thighs will stay on the floor. Our hips will stay kind of where they are. But if we get active with the bum, this awesome thing starts to happen with opening our hip flexors. So we're gonna get glutes active and kick back and up with the glutes, opening up the stomach, the hip flexors, the front thighs. Inhale. Exhale, relax all the way down. Let's put the palms underneath the chest and push to tabletop. Then we're going to go into a low lunge. Okay, so we're going to just have 1 foot forwards and 1 leg back. So I'm going to have my left foot forwards and my right foot back. And then both hands are anywhere on the ground. I'm going to have my foot wide, as you can see in the video here, and both hands are on the inside of my foot. This pose is a stretcher for the groin. I'm sure you can start to feel that already. Letting that front hip and front groin area kind of swing down towards the floor a little bit more, but not too much. Let's come back to tabletop position. So we're going to bring that left foot back to tabletop and then step the right foot forwards on the outside edge of our right hand. And then both palms get planted down at the top of the mat. And we're just in that opposite hip stretch. This is a fiery pose, isn't it? Like, this is one pose that I think maybe I don't like to teach it very often because I don't really love it in my body that much. However, sometimes the things that we think we like and the things that we think we don't like are just projections of our past experiences while doing those things. And that's not always the case. The experience that you have now might be different than the experience you had last time doing the thing. So try again. And do so with grace, with kindness, with nonviolence, and perhaps your experience and your labeling of it will shift. Let's bring our body back to tabletop position, hands and knees. Now we're going to bring the left knee forwards for pigeon. So left knee goes behind left wrist and swivels. We swivel the shin underneath the pelvis, and the right leg relaxes back behind our body. And we can come down all the way onto the elbows or the chest. I am going to go there. I'm going to grab my bolster first, though. I love bolster under the elbows. It's probably one of my faves these days, just because it takes away all of the weight, like all of the pressure in the elbows and in the flesh of the forearms and everything like that. It's really nice. Here we want to be stretching the bum muscle though. So if you're not feeling a stretch in the left side bum muscle, talk to me later. We can try to figure out a way that you can do it. That might work so that you do get the stretch into that target area, glute medius. Last 30 seconds on this side of the posture. It will change and expand as you hold through the next little bit. Let's slowly come back up. So we're going to push our palms and elbows down to the floor, eventually lifting back to tabletop position. So we're going to put hands on the ground, curl the right toes under the right heel, and then use that active leg and palms to come back to tabletop position. Let's go right knee forwards. Right shin swivels underneath the pelvis. Left leg relaxes back. Come down onto the elbows. And start to feel for the hip stretch on the right side glute medius, the bum muscle on the outside edge. If anything needs to shift mid pose, shift the body, shift it. It's worth it. Listen to your body. Last 30 seconds again here, folks. And 30 seconds goes pretty quick, doesn't it? Let's lift back up onto the hands and go back to tabletop position on the hands and knees. Now you're going to walk the knees in and sit your bum down on top of the heels in this position. So notice how my feet are like if I had shoes on, the shoelaces of my feet would be flat on the floor. So I'm sitting my bum on top of the heels there. From here, I'm going to tuck my chin down to my chest and then roll down until the crown of my head touches in front of my knees. I'm going to grab the undersides of the soles of my feet and then start to lift the pelvis up into the air into rabbit pose, holding for 5. You should feel the stretch on the back body. 4, 3, 2, belly breath in, and come down. Lift the spine upright. Take your legs around in front of you. Extend the left leg out, but hug the right leg in, and we'll rotate our spine in another twist. So left hand goes to the thigh or knee, rather, and the right hand goes behind you. And we're just rotating the spine to the right hand side, eventually looking over the shoulder, if that works. You might notice how I didn't cross my legs today in the twist. It's not mandatory. You don't have to cross the legs. Sometimes it's nice to not do everything. Let's come back to the center and let's change the bent leg. Left knee bends, right leg extends. Right arm wraps onto the shin or wraps the arm around the shin and knee. And then we're going to rotate the spine to the left. Look over the left shoulder. for maybe 3 or 4 more breaths in this side of the twist. And come back to the center. We'll bring our feet to touch, knees apart, getting a little bit of a stretch into the groin muscles before we lay down on our backs for final Shavasana. So this can be as long as you want. For me, it's often not that long, since these muscles in my body are honestly already so stretched out that they probably don't need much of more of a stretch. That's my feeling on it anyways. So you can choose to go right into Shavasana or stay here for a little bit longer. You can do reclined cobblers as well, just laying all the way down on your back with the same leg position that I've got here. I'm going to go into meditation. So you can join me in meditation. You can lay down in Shavasana, which is corpse pose, laying on the back, or take any other postures that you might be craving at this point in time. It's awesome. Bring a sense of relaxation into your face. Into your shoulders and your jaw. So thank you so much for coming to your yoga mat tonight and practicing with the intention of non-violence, or Ahimsa, practice of not returning harm. Sometimes I also think about this as a practice of patience, personally, instead of a practice of pushing. So thanks again to everybody who decided to come out to the live session today. It's really great to see each and every one of you here. To those of you who are taking the recorded session, I hope it comes at a good time. And a special shout out and welcome to our 2 new subscribers, Sally and Gail. Welcome to the crew. I hope you enjoy yourself as you practice these sequences, and let me know if you have any questions along the way. I'm always here for you. Take care and namaste.